All right, what's up? We're back for another collection video. Trying to round out the H's here. This stack will finish up one half of my CD shelves. First up, we are listening to Iljarn. I just watched Ben's new video. He talks about Iljarn at length. I don't know a lot about Iljarn. I own Forest Poetry, and I think it's rad. The first time I heard it, I thought it was noisy and chaotic and messy, and I didn't get it. But that's kind of the point. It's just this nasty, punky black metal that's not punky. It's the band that Bonall wishes they were, and I like Bonall. But this shit, it's just nasty. It just sets a fucking mood, man. It just sets such a good atmosphere. But anyway, I don't know as much about them as Ben does. I've had that for years. I bought it because I knew it was a black metal band. But anyway, first up, we are going to check out the first black metal project I ever did. Back around 2002, I started playing black metal, started writing black metal songs. And before then, the idea of a one-man band was foreign to me. I remember Mike Seatown telling me that Arcanum was a one-man band, and that just seemed so weird. And then I got into Judas Iscariot, and Judas Iscariot is probably the most notorious, not the most, that'd be Burzum, but, and I didn't listen to Burzum then. I didn't know that Burzum was a one-man band, but when I got into Judas Iscariot is really when I was like, okay, one person can do this. So I started playing guitar, I started programming drums, playing a drum machine, and I made a black metal project called Hills of Sephiroth. Just a silly fucking name. I picked the word Sephiroth out of this book about angels. I put hills in front of it. I want it to be kind of hyperbolic. And, looking back, it's silly. But that's what happens when you're in your early 20s. So the first demo was called As If to Be Widows We Weep. I printed a couple dozen of these. These were printed on heavy cardstock. So if you ever get one and it's not printed on heavy cardstock, it might not be real. With a printed CD label. And it's 5 songs of grim and nasty black metal. I was trying to emulate bands like Judas Iscariot and Dark Throne, and I think Sargeist in the thank yous. But I had no concept of playing in a time signature and matching the drums to what the guitars were doing. And it's just a mess. But it all made sense to me somehow. And it's hardly listenable now. But it is what it is. So then I did this EP, which may be listed as a full length on Metal Archives, but it's not. It's just 5 songs with a couple of intros and outros. I released this myself. It's a Pro CDR. It has one sided insert. I took that picture of a sunset behind my job with a flip phone like 15 years ago, and it still looks pretty fucking rad to me. This is called Eine Tim all zu verbrennen, which was supposed to translate in German to a breath of burning hell, but it's more like a breath that burns hell or something. I don't know. And there is an Unholy Archangel CD stuck in it. Don't tell me why. And then the actual CD with my little fake label name on it. Thron der Nacht Records. This material is a little eerier. It wasn't me so much trying to emulate those other bands as I was just trying to write eerie, dissonant, weird shit that came out on the guitar. And this got, some high praise from a couple of people. I sent this to Nathan Burke, who at the time wrote for Metal Maniacs, and he was popular for reviewing and talking about black metal, and he really liked this. And now, 15 years later, he's a really good friend of mine. So then I did this EP called Fly High, the Hated Black Flag. I have an open copy and a sealed copy. I also have a couple of hundred of these just without jewel cases in a box somewhere that I've had forever. This came out on Wraith Productions, which is a label out of Florida. They're still around. This was their third release. This is listed as a full length, but it's not. It's just 5 songs, with the other 5 songs here are that first demo. And this stuff, it's rough, man. It's real. I still had no concept of time. I had no concept of structure with the drums and the songs. And I didn't know how to program a drum machine. I was like beating out the fucking beats on the little pads. And I still play a drum machine like that when I'm fucking around doing projects. But I can do it in time now, whereas I couldn't then. And I also want to say that, like, I rushed the mixing on this, and I was never happy with it. But it is what it is. So then this, The Neglected Ancestry, was the next full length. And it came out on Wolfroon Works Records, which is a small label from France. It's not around anymore. And this record, I'd gotten into a little more like long, drawn-out black metal at that time. Druk and bands like that, and Bergthron. I wanted to write these really long songs about, you know, humanity and mankind and nature, and it's kind of this primeval look at the way mankind has cultivated hate. And it's real bad as far as like the drumming, the drum machine programming, and it's all over the place. And it was me just like fucking pounding my heart out on the guitar, trying to get this nasty fucking vibe out, and it doesn't work. And there's a really apt review of this on Metal Archives that kind of nails like, hey, this guy doesn't know what he's doing in regards to these instruments, but it made sense to me. I did another full length called A Draught of the Seas of Iniquity. And by the time I did that full length in 2007, the project lasted from 03 to 07, 5 years. And I did 4 or 5 full lengths in that time and a couple of EPs and splits. And I don't have a copy of that last full length, and I really want one because I feel like I had really like figured out how to write the drums to the guitars and vice versa and make it match and make it, you know, you could nod your head to it. I really found my footing. But then when I finished that record, I was like, okay, I'm done. I've done what I'm going to do with this output, with this project, and I laid it to rest, and I've never looked back. I did a full length on, the first full length was called Of Disease and Desperation. It only came out on tape. To this day, it's only been released on tape by Total Holocaust. And maybe one day there could be a CD release of that. I did a split with a band called Sapthurin. Sapthurin was a band I was in contact with for a long time, all through the life of that project. And we did a split that I was really fond of. Sapthurin, I think they're still around, and he played really grim, melodic black metal. And I want to say kind of like Moonblood, maybe. It's what he reminded me of, but I haven't listened to that stuff in a long, long time. The very last Hills of Sephiroth release was this split. With a band called Drumstig. And you can't see that artwork, but there's a picture of a skeleton in a coffin that this guy who was a fan of the band took and mailed to me. He mailed me the physical picture. There's the back with me and Andrew from the band Drumstig. And that is my logo. I had a Christoph Cifadel logo long before everybody had a Christoph Cifadel logo. He actually hit me up. He contacted me on MySpace 13, 14 years ago and said, hey, can I draw you a logo? And for free, he just drew me one and emailed it to me, and, so that was pretty cool. But this was a split. There's 4 songs on my side of this that I think turned out really well. I went back to let me just write something grim and eerie, and let me not try to emulate other bands. Let me write what I can write on my own. And I think my music turns out the best when I do that. I self-released this. I think Andrew and me split the cost. We did like 100 of these maybe. And I remember a funny story. He kept sending me the master CD over and over and over. He'd mail me a copy of it, and then a week or so would go by, and we hadn't sent it to press yet, and he'd mail me another one and said, use this one. And he'd mail me another one, use this one. And I ended up with like a dozen master copies of his material. And funny story, Father Befouled, of course, my other band, we were playing a show in Texas one time. And this guy walks up to me in the show, and he says something in German to me. I was like, okay? And he said it again, real triumphantly. And I didn't know what the fuck it was. And it was Andrew, who I did not, when I knew him at the time, he did not live in Texas. And he's European originally. He may have been German. But he was saying the title of that one Hills of Sephiroth record to me. He was a huge Hills of Sephiroth fan. And so I got to meet and hang out that night and talk. And but I always thought that was pretty fucking cool. But I laid that shit to rest. It had run its course. And I've done more black metal projects since then. But Hills of Sephiroth was just a snapshot of a moment in time with me finding my footing as an extreme metal musician. But it's hard for me to listen to. It's just it is what it is. So next we have something completely fucking different, and this is all Mike Seatown's fault. I have 2 hymn records, and Razorblade Romance is one of the best goddamn albums of all time. And when I first met Mike back around 1999 or 2000, this had just come out, and we listened to it over and over in his car, back and forth to band practice and hanging out. And then I bought this copy on eBay. And my copy, funny enough, is a bootleg. Because they were bootlegging shit back then. It's got bonus tracks on it, which is cool. But they're all out of order. I think even the regular track listing of this is all out of order. But this is his second record. And I'm proud to say that I got into them before Bam Margera exploited them. But they're just such a unique band, man. And they were so fucking good at what they did. But I only have these 2. I don't have the first record, Greatest Love Song 666. It's excellent. I've heard it 1,000 times. I know it forward and backwards. I've just never bought a copy. I bought Deep Shadows and Brilliant Highlights when it came out. I want to say that I ordered this on Amazon. It was one of the first things I ever bought on Amazon. It came out in 2001. And it's a killer record. It's a great follow-up to this one. And then I lost track. I didn't buy Love Metal. I thought the name was silly. I thought they had commercialized a little bit by that point in 2004. And I never really paid attention to them since. But I want to go back and get all the first 3 records on vinyl. But I'll put this shit on a couple times a year and listen to it for 2 weeks straight. If you've never heard it and you have a certain preconceived notion of the band, check it out. Try to listen to it without pretense. It is just such a solid, melodic, groovy fucking, it's like gothic Black Sabbath. It's so fucking good. But just a fantastic band. At least on this early stuff that I appreciate. So then we have Holocaustia, who I'm not familiar with. I think I got this to review many years ago. I don't know anything about this band or where they're from or who they are. There's 5 songs on this. It might be killer black metal. I do not know. I'll look it up and we'll find out together. So then we have 3 albums by Holocaustio Cannibal. I have Gorephilia, Visceral Massacre Memorabilia, and the greatest album title of all time, Opus Genitalia. So Holocaustio Cannibal, if you can tell from what they look like in the name, they're a grind band. And they're a gory, nasty horror grind band. And you know what that sounds like, but they're good. I think they're either Spanish or Italian, I don't remember. But I usually reach for Opus Genitalia. I'm not sure where it falls in their discography. I got all 3 of these at once in a trade. I said I like their band name. Of course, it's named after the movie Cannibal Holocaust. But it's good. The end of this record, I think it's this one, has a few like techno remixes on it, and they are so fucking good. I mean, just, I'm not a techno fan at all. It's not something that I bash. I don't give a fuck. But the kind of industrial techno edge to these remixes on this are so fucking killer. But it's a good band. And you know what? I didn't get all these in a trade. I got these 2 in a trade. I bought this one at CD Central. Will that focus? Can you see that? CD Central in Lexington, Kentucky, which is a killer record store in a killer city. I love Lexington. So then we have The Holy Mountain with Entrails. Will that focus? The Holy Mountain was a crusty punk hardcore band from Gainesville. I think they were from Gainesville. They're on No Idea Records. And they sound like, that's what Gainesville, Florida sounds like. Holy Mountain was a little more metal, a little more in your face. Maybe a little like His Hero Is Gone is what I remember them sounding like. But I heard them somewhere, I liked it. I picked this up at a CD Central, what do you know? I don't listen to it a lot. I'm not into that scene of stuff. So then we have Hooded Menace with Fulfill the Curse. I've talked about Hooded Menace before. I'm not a fan. There's a long backstory to Hooded Menace and some friends of mine and some falling out. And I just, ultimately though, I think that this album is really boring. And I liked the 7-inch that came out before this, but then this record, I could never make it through it. It's so samey. And it was so popular. And they're still so popular. And I just don't get it. I don't know, man. Same thing with like Electric Wizard. Electric Wizard is the most boring fucking band. And people just go ape shit over them. But it's my opinion. I hear what I hear. And I feel what I feel. And I'm not crazy about Hooded Menace. I am crazy about the Hookers. Because the Hookers fucking rule. This is Casting the Runes. It's a double disc set of Hookers material up to whenever this came out. So the singer of the Hookers is Adam Neal. And Adam Neal is the guitar player in Savage Master, who a lot of you probably know. They're a heavy metal band from Louisville that play out and tour constantly, and they're fucking killer. But the Hookers are like a dirty, like, punk rock and roll band, about fucking getting high and riding motorcycles and just fucking, wearing leather vests with no shirts on. They're fucking killer. And real, like, there's a lot of melodic, catch hooks in their record. Played a show with them last year, and they were so great, man, so great. But I'm gonna fucking throw this on soon, man. I haven't listened to this in a long time. The Hookers fucking rule. Alright, so last but not least, we have got Warna. So Warna is one of the greatest black metal bands of all time, but they have a massive discography, and I don't know where to begin with it. And the 3 Warna albums I have are from 3 different parts of the band, and The first thing I ever bought was this double disc set on woodcut of Hidentori and Koti Yitsukasan Nusa. This came out on Woodcut Records. I bought this probably 15 years ago. Hidentori came out in 97. It may have been their first full length. I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up. But there's 2 albums worth of stuff here. And this material is not as melodic as some of the later stuff, like the Evan Tongs record, which is probably my favorite Horner record. This one is fucking killer. Corvus was a killer vocalist. I saw them live with Corvus here in Atlanta years ago. And Shawtrog is probably like one of the best black metal guitar musicians there are. You know, he's the guy behind Sargeist. He's behind this. He started Behexen. Lots and lots and lots of bands he's played guitar in. And Horna is just so fucking killer. But they put out a record a couple of years ago. That may be their most recent full length, and I can't begin to tell you the name of it. But it was incredible. I never picked up a copy of it. And Horna's one of those bands, I don't go out of my way to buy their stuff when it comes out. But anytime I see something in person, I'll grab it. But I really, really need to get caught up and figure out, you know, their discography. They're a bit like a band like Drowning in the Light. Drowning in the Light has got 40 fucking albums, and I just don't know where to start with them. I've got a live Horna DVD I've had for years. I don't know what the material is. Horna put out a record probably 10 years ago called Aina Yosa. That's 4 really long songs, and that record's really, really fucking good. But Horna's one of those bands that I really, really like that I don't know very well. But I saw them live, like I said, probably about 10 years ago. I think it was 2008 here in Atlanta, and they were incredible. And instead of playing their longer, more melodic stuff, they played a really fucking violent, in-your-face set, and it was fucking sick. But anyway, that's this stack. You will see the disclaimer at the front of this video. I've recorded this video twice now. I had some camera issues, and I hope that this version is much better. But I was going to do another big box of shit video, but I fucked up the last time I did that. When I got done talking about all that stuff, I put it back in the box. So the stuff that I talked about first is mixed up in the box again. And I don't want to sort through it. And it's just a bunch of fucking promos. But I got a big stack now of some new stuff to talk about. I'm going to do a couple more 5-minute favorites. And I've got some other stuff I'm thinking of for videos that I hope you guys will like. But let's talk about these. Let's talk about metal. What are you listening to? Comment, like, subscribe. Let's keep this channel going. Let's keep it, you know, the more people that talk and the more people that click like and give me a thumbs up, I'll get out there. So till next time, I'll see you guys soon.